right, now, listen up.
3, 2, 1.
It's showtime.
That's great.
This is ridiculous.
99.3 The Truth.
You can't handle the truth right now.
Ooh.
That was the stupidest thing I ever heard.
Let's do it.
Hit it. It's time for Max World.
And here we go.
Everybody, let's get it started. Let's get it started.
Call Mac 244-0077 or text 809-0993.
It's showtime, everybody! Showtime!
Exclusively on 99.3 The Truth.
6 minutes after 4 o'clock on the 19th day of May in the Lord's year 2016. I'm J. Michael McCoy, back in the saddle again. Listen, tomorrow I want to tell you. Now, Jeb, the lady tomorrow is Olivia Goodall. Is that right? The young lady from Urbandale High School?
Yes, it looked like Goodale, though.
Goodale.
I'm not sure
the
pronunciation.
And this was a young lady that got up in the middle of her class, or maybe she did a class presentation on
a speech, yeah.
Yeah, pro-life. And it was recorded and put on the internet, and I think it's just amazing for a young lady in high school to be this, well-spoken, passionate from her heart. So that'll be our guest tomorrow in the 4 o'clock hour. Frank.
Oh, I was just pointing to Jeb that he might turn his mic up a tick.
I see.
How's this?
Thank you, Mr. Backseat Driver. All right, so that's who we've got tomorrow afternoon. I want to introduce you to my guest today, a young lady that I have known 11 years, since I came to Hope, I suppose.
Yeah, probably.
11 years. So her name is Christine Meggison, and I'm going to give you the spelling of that because I want you to go to her website. CHRISTINEMEGG, I didn't stutter, two of them, ISON.com, ChristineMeggison.com. And when did you start this website?
It just launched in January.
In January, okay.
That's the official launch. The launch in my heart, that was years ago, probably.
Years ago,
yeah.
Okay, good. That was my next question. Where does this passion come from?
Well, I think even since I was young, I felt that God had things that he wanted to speak, that he was speaking to me, that he wanted to use me to speak to other people. And just he wanted me to be an encourager. Encourager of his heart and communicator of his heart.
Okay, can you tell me, at what age? Is that a high school, a junior high, a young girl?
Yeah, probably. I think I feel like I'm giving my first kind of public talk when I was 15.
Okay.
So let's say over 25 years ago.
Okay. Did you now you follow Jesus? Mm-hmm. Has that always been the case in your life?
Well, I grew up going to church, but I remember really making a choice and choosing Jesus when I was in junior high. I think it's common in junior high that you go through that phase, maybe with friends and a difficulty in friendships. And I was in that season. I remember I was in 8th grade. I was around 13 years old, and I went to a youth event, and the speaker was talking about how Jesus wants to be your best friend, and that he'll be the kind of friend you can count on, that he'll never change. He'll never change the way he thinks about you. He's crazy about you. You're not in one day and out with him the next, which was what I was experiencing at the time with my friends.
Yeah.
And so I remember that message just leapt up into my heart in that moment, and I thought, that's the kind of friend that I want.
Did you hear that message in a church?
Yep.
Okay. Was it our church?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. Well, you said it was probably we weren't around yet.
No.
Hope wasn't around yet. Okay. Yep. Christine Meggison is my guest. Christine Meggison. Is there any other way to spell Christine?
I suppose you could spell it with a K.
Okay, but it's with a C.
Yep.
All right, Christine Meggison. Meggison is just like it sounds, but it's got 2 G's, just like Tigger. MEGG, double Gur, as Tigger would say, ISON.com. She also does a podcast called Straight from the Heartland with another couple young ladies by the name of Sarah Lubach.
Yep, Sarah Lubach.
And Stacy Jorgensen.
That's right.
Now, so you're a Des Moines person.
Mm-hmm. Grew up in this area, Central Iowa.
Okay. And you got out of high school. Mm-hmm. What were you famous for in high school?
I was an athlete.
Okay. What kind? Just
Every
everything?
kind.
Basketball, softball. Did you think you were going to become a professional something or another in athletics?
Maybe for a period of time I did. I remember having recruiting offers for Division I schools as a basketball player in the summers leading into my senior year, and then blew out my knee in my senior year.
Oh, no.
And then the D1 offers went away.
Yeah.
And as I look back, that I don't know, I would have probably continued to find a lot of identity in myself as an athlete. Had that maybe not happened. And then so I think through that, God really reminded me of my worth in just how he's created me and who he's created me to be beyond athleticism. Okay. And so then I went on to a smaller college. I went to Central College in Pella, and I continued to play basketball and softball there, but was involved with a lot of other things that allowed me to be really well-rounded and experience a lot of different things.
And that's a great school for a young Christian person to go to, because that's fully supported down there.
Yeah, and we had a great and really active spiritual ministry area down there, and so I just fell right into that.
I may have said something kind of ignorant here just a second ago. Is Central College in Pella a Christian college?
It is. So
see, that was stupid what I just said.
With the Reformed Church of America, so it's associated with them.
All right. By the way, you can call in and ask Christine any question that you want, or you can text her 515-244-0077. And you can text us at the Service Legends Truth text line at 515-809-0993. So tell me a moment in high school in which you were able to share the gospel and you have no idea where the words came from. It's the first time you realize God just spoke through me.
Yeah.
You remember it? Is there one?
Yeah, I remember I was at a retreat. I was really involved with Fellowship of Christian Athletes when I was in high school, junior high and high school. It makes sense. And I remember being at a retreat for high school students, and they asked 2 students if they'd be willing to kind of give their testimony.
And you were one of them.
And I was one of the ones they getting up front in front of, probably 300, mostly of my peers, other high school students, and just shared about how Jesus has changed my life and what that looked like. And I remember seeing people moved by that story, and then hearing them come and share with me afterwards how they'd been impacted by that story. And I also remember feeling, as I stood on that stage, very alive. I could feel the Spirit moving through me and indicating to me, like, this is something that I've wired you to do. Even to be here to communicate my heart to people and be an encourager to them.
Christine Meggison is my guest. You can find her at christinemeggison.com. I've looked over the website. I've also got some places there where you've preached a sermon. Is that the right phrase?
I think you can say that. Preached a sermon, gave a talk, spoke. I do speaking. I mean,
okay.
Yeah.
And we have a ministry at our church called Revive. Mm-hmm. Is that the new name or the old name?
That's the new name.
New name. Used to be
Immersion.
Immersion. All right. Yep. And this is for what, 18 to 30-year-olds?
Yeah, young adults.
Basically. And I hear you just knocked their socks off.
I've loved my experience. Yeah. Speaking there, for sure. What
boils up in you? And not boil from that's boiling up. No, just what comes up as you're preparing for that talk that you're going to give? Is it memorized? Is it written out and you're reading it? Is it how is it inspired?
Usually the process for me looks like plenty of time in advance. I would have whatever the scripture is they've given me or the topic, and God and I kind of percolate on it for a while.
Percolate, I like that.
And so he kind of bubbles up the message in me, and we spend some time letting that happen. If I just have to sit down and crank it out in an afternoon, that's tough for me. But if I can be ruminating on it for a few days or a week, that's great. But then I'll usually have a lot of outline points, but with room to move. Okay. Move with the Spirit, however he's leading in the moment, or what people seem to really be grabbing onto.
Are those notes in front of you when you give the talk? They
usually,
are.
yeah.
Okay. Frank, you have a question?
Yes. Do you think that, as I believe, that you kind of have to read things for the Holy Spirit to generate those thoughts into your mind? It's I wouldn't say it's impossible for him to put things in your mind that you haven't read, but you kind of have to do some prep work, and then he brings those things to mind that you need to say.
I heard it written somewhere. I can't remember now the book where I was reading, but they were talking about being spontaneous or being more kind of organized and planned. And they were talking about kind of how the Spirit works and how if you kind of have together, you've partnered and come up with a plan, like you and the Lord have kind of has a plan, then it gives you the freedom to be spontaneous in the moment. But if everything you do is spontaneous, it's not really spontaneous, it's just kind of chaotic. Like you're going here and there. And so I know in my experience, I have kind of that basis that it plan in mind, but then freedom to move in a direction.
Well, Christians don't really believe in luck per se, but I heard somebody describe the definition of luck is where preparation meets opportunity. Mm. So you've prepared, and the Holy Spirit brings about these opportunities to prompt you with some thought that you've read, some experience you've had, spontaneously to share.
Yeah, I find if I don't prepare very well, it keeps me stuck in my notes. And if I'm stuck in my notes, then I don't have an awareness of how the Spirit's moving and how people are responding to it.
All right, we are going to take our first break. We have ChristineMeggison.com. I would ask you to check her out. She has blogs, she has some podcasts and some other things there. When we come back, what's it like being a mom and how she got to be one? That's coming up next, live here on The Truth. Yep, The Truth. 99.3.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi. My name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Hey everybody, I brought Northern Lights Pizza! And it's got Graziano sausage!
Rock and Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rock and Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. 21 minutes after 4 o'clock, 4:21 on the 19th day of May in the Lord's year 2016. I always tell you that the people that I talk about on the radio are the real deal. And one of the real deals that we've got here at the radio station is an opportunity to help Ames Christian School grow and get scholarships and pay for kids who otherwise probably couldn't afford to go there. And so there's a golf tournament coming up a week from tomorrow, May 27th. And you get a day of golf and lunch and fellowship. If you're a golfer, or if you're like me, you're not really a golfer. But you like to hang around with good people for a good reason and a good cause. Check them out, Ames Christian School. Go to their website and talk about maybe you and some family members. Maybe it's a chance for you to bond with some grandkids, or your kids, or some sisters or brothers at church that you just don't get enough time. Let me tell you something. You get out on a golf course for 3 or 4 hours, you're going to have some good conversation. That's serious road trip time. Not going a long ways on the cart, but serious road trip time. So anyway, hopefully you'll check that out and become a part of that. That's a week from tomorrow up in Ames Christian School. All right. ChristineMeggison.com. That's the website you can go to. Christine Meggison. And Meggison has 2 G's, just like Tigger, double Gur. And that's where you can find out about this young lady. She launched the website tangibly this last January, but it probably started 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And did you ever, when was the first time somebody said, you ought to have a website? You remember that? And you said, what?
Well, okay, so my husband, Michael Meggison, he's been on your show before, Megs.
Megs, oh yeah, Megs.
And, I mean, even...
By the way, he texted me, and he said, enjoy the amazing misses.
Oh.
That sounds like something Megs would say.
Yeah. Well, even 2 years ago, he was encouraging me to do a blog. And I was like, I don't think I have anything to say. So I wasn't even serious at that moment about doing it. But as far as, I don't know, people have encouraged me for a while that they enjoy what I have to say and would I say more. And I don't know, it just kind of developed into the website.
All right, now I'm looking at some of the stuff you've got up here. May is the new December. That is your latest blog.
Yeah, that just came out yesterday.
And I know what it's about, but tell me like I don't know, because the listeners don't know. So what does May is the new December mean?
Well, I think that especially if you're a parent of elementary or school-aged kids, it seems like May is filled with a lot of extra things. So you have your normal life. I always talk about life plus one. I can usually handle my regular life plus maybe one other thing, a birthday party or a garage sale, or, you fill in your blank for the one event. I can handle one extra thing. But May, like Christmas, December, Christmas and the holidays, it's a month that's filled with a lot of extra things.
Yeah, I get that now.
And so May has become the new December because it has all of the same things, programs and recitals and ways to commemorate the end of the school year, the end of, a season, plus Mother's Day and Teacher Appreciation Day and graduation parties and events. And so I feel like this month is chock full. The difference is that with December, we plan to be busy. We expect it. We kind of brace for it. We kind of gear up. And then when it's all over, we just kind of crash. And we hopefully experienced a lot of joy and a lot of fun memories. But what I find with May is May kind of sneaks up on you. You're just looking ahead towards summer. And all of a sudden, May happens to you. I think you happen more to December and you kind of are in control, but May happens to you. And so especially I think parents we're just exhausted.
And May sneaks up on Mac every year.
It does?
Because it's the Indianapolis 500.
And here it is.
All right. So, yeah, I get that. May's the new December.
It's just
you're
full.
Right. It is full. Graduations, yeah. And now, when I don't know what it was like when you were in school, but we didn't graduate from second grade. We didn't have a ceremony.
Right.
You went home and you said, well, I'm going to be in third grade now. I'm a third grader.
Yes.
But now...
It's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing.
There's a lot of whole things that we are experiencing as parents. And you're just catching us at where our tank is empty. Like the school year is wrapping up and we're just ready to move on into summer. And then there's all these expectations of these events and gifts and just a lot of thoughtfulness. It takes a lot of energy. And so I just find that more conversations that I have with parents, especially moms, we're just like, can we just get done with May?
Well, so, okay, here's a question from an older guy, okay, a grandfather. So why do you put so much on your plate? I mean, aren't you in charge of that?
Well, I think there's some things that we're in charge of, but a lot of things we're not in charge of.
Like what? I'm not challenging you. I just want to know like what.
Yeah. Well, for instance, our kids have participated in activities, and now those activities are choosing to have an end of the year moment. They want to have their moment in the spotlight and showcase everything the kids have done in this last year. Well, we're not really in control that they're choosing to have that event or place that event in the month of May.
Is the grief to have the moment at the end of May, is that grief worth the profit that the kids and the family get all year long participating in those events?
Well, I think that's the tension. That's the tension that I feel as a mom and other moms feel, is that you really, as a sentimentalist, you want to have that moment to say, yay, well done, and this has been a great year, and you've grown, and this has been a fun experience. And yet you're thinking, can we do this at a different time of year? How about March? How about April? Just because May is already just so full with everything else.
ChristineMeggison.com. That's the website. CHRISTINE. Meggison, MEGGISON, just like Tigger. Meggison.com. She also does a podcast, Straight from the Heartland, with Sarah Lubbock, and Stacy Jorgensen. Now, you are you're a full-time mom with a lot of other stuff on your plate.
Right.
You're lucky enough or blessed enough that you don't have to get the kids out of the house in the morning and get them to school, and then you have to go off to a job.
Right. I work from home.
Yeah. But you do work.
Right.
You just work from home. All right. And York is 12, and Tess is 10, and Jack is 7. So tell me about Mr. Wonderful. When did you meet him? When was the first time Michael Meggison walked into your life?
Yeah, well, it's a long story, so I'm going to give you the very abbreviated version.
I can take the whole thing. We've got 32 minutes.
Well, my parents and his parents were friends when we were growing up.
Yeah.
My dad worked for his dad. My dad was in residential real estate, and his dad brought my dad into the commercial side of real estate. And so Michael is the youngest in his family. He has 2 older sisters, and they were my babysitters.
Ah, okay.
Michael is also then 5.5 years older than me. So, the ages all worked. His sisters are older than him. And so they were my babysitters, and we would hang out at their house. And I know his parent, I knew his parents and his sisters. And, but then it was about 16 years where after he had gone off to college and moved, and then I went to college, and so there was about a 16-year gap till our lives crossed again, and that was through a mutual friend. Michael was in Bible study with him and mentioned that he was in this Bible study with this guy named Meggs, and I thought that was such a weird name, and I asked about it, and he said, yeah, it's short for Michael Meggison, and the first thought I had was, that is so weird that there's 2 Michael Meggisons.
Oh, cool.
Because the Michael Meggison that I knew wouldn't have been in a Bible study.
Right.
And so that was just my shock kind of. And my first thought was, that's really weird that there's 2 Michael Meggisons. And then my friend helped put the connection together that we were from the same hometown. And yeah, indeed, that's who it is. And it was probably a year or so later that Michael and I's paths actually crossed.
And where did they cross?
I was living in Colorado Springs at the time. I was in ministry. He was here in Des Moines. Again, that mutual friend of ours just kind of kept at him saying, you used to know each other and you should reconnect. And
can you tell me who that mutual friend, you don't have to, but
his name was Barry Spencer.
Okay.
Yeah. And Michael at the time had come to a place in his relationship with God that he really wanted to always be led by God and not try to just do things on his own. And at the time, his dating life was at the top of that list. And so even though this friend was encouraging him to, connect with me, Michael kept saying, well, no, I'm letting God take care of my love life at this point. And it wasn't until about a week later he came into his office, his workplace, total different set of people. And he was in a coworker's office and looked down, and on this coworker's desk was my newsletter that I would send out for my ministry every month.
Okay.
And he looked down, he sees that it's me. And now he's had 2 moments in the last week where my name keeps coming across his path.
Yeah, and knowing Meg's the way I do, he pays attention to that stuff.
Finally, at that point, he was like, okay, I'm going to maybe reach out to her.
And that was how many years ago? 15?
It was 2001. So, 15. Yeah, about this time, April.
But you're in Colorado Springs and he's in Des Moines. How does that work? I mean, we didn't even have Facebook then.
No, we just started emailing.
Okay, emailing. Okay, any conversations on the phone?
It was probably a month or so in that we talked on the phone.
Okay.
Yeah. But then it was pretty fast and furious because that was April. In June, I came home to Des Moines to do my fundraising for my ministry. My ministry was all support-based. And so I came home to do my fundraising. And before I came home, God had really prepared my heart that this was the person he'd chosen for me, for my husband. And it was going to move fast, but to trust the Lord in it. And so by August, we were engaged and we got married in December. So it was 8 months from the first email till we were married.
That is pretty quick. But you did it within prayer.
We did. And we were older. He was 32. I was 27.
That's true.
You know.
That's kind of funny. We were just talking about a wedding that we all went to a couple of weekends ago, and Brett was 34 and Bridget's 31. Yeah, so kind of that same, neither one been married before, just serving God. Okay.
But what was neat about it is because Michael, since his parents had passed away in his early 20s, had always assumed that whoever he married would never have known or had any kind of relationship with his parents. And that was something that he was true. So then God crossed our paths. I have all of these memories of his parents from growing up. So when he refers to them, I know exactly what he's talking about. And like I said, his sisters were my babysitters, and now they're my sisters-in-law. And my wedding ring was actually his mom's ring that his sisters held on to under lock and key because they knew at times in his life he would have just hawked that for money. So
Megs would have.
Yeah. And so now I get to wear her ring.
But you never, and I speak because I'm in the same world that Megs used to be. You never knew him in that world.
I knew the rumors.
Okay.
So yeah, we didn't really have crossover, but I just had always heard the rumors of kind of this wild and crazy life that he was leading.
Yeah.
That's why the surprise that he was in a Bible study.
Yeah, right. Okay. All right. Christine Meggison is my guest. ChristineMeggison.com is the place to go. We have a Service Legends Truth Text Talk line, which you can give us some questions for Christine if you'd like to. That's 515-809-0993, or the phone lines are open, 515-244-0077. Usually listeners don't call in.
Okay.
They want to listen. Okay. Now, they will find you later on at ChristineMeggison.com and things like that, but usually they kind of settle in like this is a bedtime story, and they just want to listen. All right, so we're just about ready to take our next break, and we didn't get to kids yet, but we're going to get to them now. So you and Michael get married. How long until you have York?
3 years.
3 years. And it was a boy.
Yep.
And had you guys talked about a family? Talked about kids?
We talked about it, and I think both were hopeful that we would have children. We had family members who haven't been able to get pregnant, and we know the pain of that, so it wasn't something that we took as a guarantee, but definitely a thing that we both wanted and hoped for. And our oldest son, York, when he was born, we named him York because that was my maiden name. Yeah, it's a great name. Yeah, and we felt like it was a way that our two families were coming into covenant with each other, York and Meggison. Yep, there you go, yeah. Do you remember when you told Michael for the first time he was going to be a father? Yeah, and men get this great moment when they propose. I think women get the same moment when they get to tell about the pregnancy. Okay, I want you to tell that story in just a little bit, then I want to talk about the kids. ChristineMeggison.com, finders. This is a jewel in the world of women and mothers and wives. You need to get to know this gal. Look her up.
Northern Lights Pizza's amazing garlic butter makes amazing breadsticks. Now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's. Northern Lights Pizza.
I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Homs.
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that
our clients clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed. Fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning, you'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Or the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're going to make it right.
Money back guarantee on what we do. What type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
4:38, 22 minutes before the top of the hour, Salem Radio Network News, and then Hank the Bible Answer Man worldwide live program heard right here on 99.3. The number 1-888 Ask Hank. So if you want to get your comment in there, then this is the time to do it. For instance, somebody, Frank, what was the text that we got last hour when we were talking about baptism and being born again? Something about if baptism is necessary for salvation, then how do you
explain the salvation of the thief on the cross?
Yeah. Now, there's a good question for you to call in to Hank with today. Whoever found that or sent that to us by text, I would encourage you to maybe call into the Hank Hanegraaff show this afternoon at 5 o'clock and ask him, because that's a great question. Does the Bible teach us that baptism is necessary? Necessary for salvation? I was telling you about this Bible study that I went to this morning with a bunch of different guys, never been around that. So how about the thief on the cross? How about Jesus' words, today you will be in paradise with me today? No. What were the exact words?
Today you will be with me in paradise.
Yeah.
I think it's significant that Christ, a perfect human and a perfect divine God, set the standard to be baptized. So I think it's of somewhat importance.
Well, it's really important. And I think most people, when the Holy Spirit mugs them, like he did me, you want to go get baptized.
Well, not everybody has that opportunity, because sometimes it's near-death experiences that take you to the point. If it's important to make a stand for Christ.
I want to remind you as we go through the program today that tonight is the first Weiss and Merkel Financial College, the Empowerment Experience. These are $50 tickets. They're for 2 people. And if you want to go tonight, there's still time. What time does that start, Bob? Like
6:30.
Okay. And where is it at tonight?
It's at the Upper Iowa University on 5000 Westtown Parkway.
Okay, yeah, that's the little blue dome, right past. No, I'm wrong.
It's not. No, it's just the
it's the Nat building.
Tan building.
It's the Nat building. It's the 50th and. So if you'd like to go to that thing tonight, it's tonight and then next week too, and it's all free. Just call Jeb at our studio line, 515-244-0077. 515-244-0077, and we'll give you a couple free tickets. And you're welcome to go on 99.3. And there's no contest here. You don't have to answer a question. If you'd like to go, call Jeb, and as long as the phones are ringing, he'll get you tickets. And are you still planning on going?
I still plan on going.
Okay, good.
I want to know about Social Security.
ChristineMeggison.com. That is the website I'd like you to visit. She's sitting in our studio today. Wife, daughter, mother, blogger, talker,
podcaster,
preacher. We're not big on podcaster. We think, why wouldn't you do a webcast?
Hey, I told you, we're just getting started on this.
All right. You
I've
have
got
something
a question
for her?
Yes.
Well, I was right in the middle of her finding,
Well, come back to me because I got a good question.
Okay. So you say every guy gets the experience and opportunity to do the proposal, right?
Right.
And then every wife or woman gets to do the, honey, you're going to be a father.
Yes.
And I got to tell you, that never gets old. Well, I don't know. I suppose if you're on number 9, it might get a little old. But at some point, that never gets old.
Right.
And so, first of all, go back and tell me.
Okay. Well, the proposal was, it was just a random day in the summer. I'd come over, and we were planning to go and out with some friends, and he had.
But hold on. But you had already felt, the Holy Spirit had told you this is the guy.
Yeah, definitely.
And this was before you ever met him again 16 years later after you saw him before.
Mm-hmm.
You had been communicating, email, phone, stuff like that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and so we, I was home for the summer. We were dating, and so I came over, and he had been spending time in the Word and had been reading about Moses talking about teach us to number our days, that they would incline our hearts to wisdom. And he was really moved by that verse, us that we would number our days and just realize that life is really short. And Michael, he's such a spontaneous guy. So for him in that moment, he's like, there's no time like the present. What am I wasting my time? I know I want to marry this girl. I'm just going to ask her. So there was really no forethought of plan. There was no ring. There was no nothing. I showed up and he basically said, marry me. And based on that moment encounter that he'd had with God. So now I will say to our male listeners who might be considering doing a proposal, you might think about some more planning and thinking of thoughtfulness as it relates to your fiance, because we've had hard moments because of that proposal, because I felt like, well, that was just about you, responding into some emotional thing that you were experiencing, and you didn't have maybe the forethought of, me or even our relationship. And so I think if he were going to redo it, and when he gives advice to young fellas, he encourages them to maybe think through a plan. But it worked for us. I mean, it worked. It took. Here we are almost 15 years later. So
do you consider him to be kind of an impulsive guy at times?
Yes.
Megs. All right. So, maybe Megs and I can work on a second. Another proposal.
Do-over?
And do a big deal. You can go to Yankee Stadium or something, and we'll put it on the board, or we'll do it in a webcast or something like that. So tell me about when you told him he was going to be a father first time.
Yeah. Well, we had just moved into our first home, and had done all the packing and moving, and moved over the weekend. And I remember just thinking, I don't feel quite right. And I was really hungry for Burger King breakfast sandwiches, which I never eat, and I don't think I've since eaten as well. So
those croissant things, those are yummy.
Yeah, and so I remember I think that I might be pregnant, and so I wanted Hebel to have that moment to surprise him. So I ran out and got a test, took it positive, and so
the little
pee on the stick,
yeah,
yeah, absolutely. And so then,
are those reliable? Well, apparently so.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And so I ran out, and I think I got a card or something, some sort of Father's Day card or card to Dad or or something.
When would this have been about?
Like September.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So we would have been married almost 2 years at this time. And so he came home from work and we were kind of just catching up about the day. And I don't know if I said something about he had some mail or whatever, and then he opened up the card and realized that what I was telling him.
Do you remember what you put on the card?
About it, but he just started sobbing. We both started sobbing, and and then it just kind of hits you like, oh, this is happening.
Yeah.
And your life is just going to change forever, and it has.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one thing about kids, and everybody in this room, except Jeb, has had children. Jeb will have his someday. And it really is a moment that that's it.
Yeah.
Everything that's happened to you previous to this, everything's going to be different.
Yep.
And every time you add another little, minnow muncher, then you got it again and again and again, and you've done it 3 times. So, all right, you had a question that you wanted to ask because we're coming up to a break here.
Well, we talked a little bit in the break, and you mentioned kind of a offhand comment that you wanted your children to fail. And I kind of want to present this idea that sometimes the expectations, reasonable or unreasonable, parents place on their children can lead to false senses of success or failure. Because sometimes a parent's trying to get a child to live out their dream. Yeah. Like they wanted to be the piano concerto person, and they failed at it, so they want their child to do it. Or they blew their knee out in football, they want their son to follow up and be that football star.
Yeah.
And so can you speak to that, what you were, referring to when you want your children to fail?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we see that all the time in parenting. I feel like we're living in an age of just high-strung, high-pressure parenting right now. And parents are really driven, kids are really driven. There's just a lot of parents' involvement in their kids' lives, like over-involvement, where I always want to say, can we just gather all the parents together and say, can we just all agree to chill the heck out? Like, we just all need to just chill out here. A lot of pressure on kids. And so one of the things that I pray for my kids is that they would fail.
That's interesting. All right, we're going to come back, have our last short segment. And during that time, Christine, I'd like you to tell my audience what you want from them. How do you want them to react to this interview, you in your ministry? Coming back live here on The Truth.
I can flesh that out more if you want.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating care community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
Northern Lights Pizza, your home of the tasty crust. Our garlic butter sauce now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Northern Lights Pizza.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
4:50, 10 minutes before 5 o'clock, live here on The Truth, 99.3. Hank, the Bible Answer Man. 1-888-ASK-HANK is up next after Salem Radio Network News. Our guest this hour has been Christine Meggison. Christine, just spelled regularly with a C, and Meggison has 2 G's, so it's Meggison.com. Where do you get your inspiration? And how can my audience, my listeners, because they're really good people, I'm really lucky, how can they help you to further your ministry?
That's a great question. I think...
of course it is.
Of course, you asked it.
Frank wrote it down and gave it to me. Frank's my writer.
Nice work, Frank. You know what? Here's what I'm about. What my website about and what my mission is that I want to connect people. I want people to know that they belong to one another. I feel like God created us to need each other and to belong to one another. And so I really want my website to be a place where people can come, they can know that they found their people. So they know that they found someone in me and in my writing, and also in the people who are kind of now part of this community. They found a place where we're talking about the things that maybe the conversations they're having at home with their husband or with their girlfriends for coffee. And we're having those same kind of conversations. So as far as your listeners, I want them to join in the conversation and add to the conversation. You know, Frank, before we went into break, mentioned the situation about, I hope that my kids fail. And a week or so ago, I wrote a blog post about that and saying how I think it's good for kids to make mistakes and fail. And I pray that my kids will have those opportunities so that they can learn that it's not the end of the world, and that hopefully it won't suffer like I have from perfectionism, because I'll have lots of experiences of messing up. And through that, I had a couple moms respond back to me from the opposite vantage point. And they were saying, I pray that my kid will have a win. Like, I pray my kid who struggles academically and socially and behaviorally will just have a good day. And I thought, wow, this is such a great dialogue. And I asked her, she wrote a blog post for me, which I put then on my blog, and to give the other side of the story. So instead of I hope my kids fail, it was I hope my kids succeed. So really, that's what I love. I love connecting people and letting them feel like I've found a place where we're having a conversation about the things that I'm already thinking about and I'm talking about with my friends, and just join in the conversation.
What is... what makes you sad for moms out there, for dads, for young families, for Christians?
I get sad when I think about all of the pressure that we are putting on ourselves right now. Pressure that moms are putting on themselves, and pressure that we're putting on all of our kids. It makes me really sad. So
are you going to try to be a voice in that arena that says, don't do it? Don't do it. But here's how my voice sounds. It sounds like raising my hand and saying, here's how I screwed up today. Okay. Here's how I'm not perfect. Okay. Here, and giving people permission to not have to be perfect, and to mess up as a mom, but to know that there's forgiveness, and to have imperfect kids and know that that's okay, and that Jesus is going to be enough for all of us. But I think just lowering the bar. Like I feel like I'm part of the voice that's saying, let's lower the bar for all of us. And I'm going to start with myself. Let me just give you an example of how I fail or how I'm imperfect, and just being authentic. Like I want to just have a community where it's led by vulnerability, people being really authentic and real with what they're dealing with each day, instead of glossing it over like maybe we see sometimes in social media, where we're just going to give people the glimpse of how their life is perfect. Yeah, and as Christians, I've only been a Christian for 5 years, I think. Maybe not even that long, I don't know. But I know who I belong to now. Yeah. And I know that my feeling, when people ask me if I was a Christian, I'd say, heck no, I'm an Episcopalian. I'd show you how ignorant I was. Mm. And then they'd say, well, what don't you like about Christians? And one of the things I'd say is they have a facade on. Yeah. It's never the same when you get to know them. And therefore, sometimes it's so hard to get to know a follower, a believer, because they're afraid to show that vulnerability. Mm-hmm. I talk about my recovery a lot, and I talk about that, and here's how God blesses me when I talk about it. A day, a month, a year, I'll get a phone call from somebody that says, hey, I remember that time you told me that you didn't drink anymore. Yeah. Well, I got this friend. I got this buddy. I've got my son. I've got my wife. I've got my daughter. I've got my mother. And it's that vulnerability that I think needs to be more present in a follower's vocal life, in what appears to be their life. It is really what it appears to be. Right. And it sounds like that's what your mission is, what you're hoping to do.
Yeah, I wrote a post that was entitled, I'm Losing My Ever-Loving Mind. And it was just, it gave a series of different examples that had happened in the last 2 weeks in my life where I literally felt like I was losing my mind as a mom. Just too many balls I was trying to balance, not doing well, and just seemingly failing on all fronts. Yeah. And just put it out there, and just the response of, oh, this is my life. This is how I'm living right now. And then just knowing, and then in the midst of that, there's a lot of hope because there's a lot of grace.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I can come before my kids and I can be in tears and I can say, I've been letting you down right now. I've been failing in that you are more important to me than maybe this schedule has shown you. And will you forgive me? And ask my kids for their forgiveness. And let's do a do-over. Let's reprioritize the things.
Well, and your parents, I think I'm probably the age of your parents. Mm-hmm. We didn't do that. We didn't let down that way.
I think sometimes when my post comes out, my parents are like, whoa, okay, she said that.
Yeah.
Because we're a different generation.
Yeah, my mom and dad love them to death, but they don't listen to the show. Because sometimes I talk about things that make them a little uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And I wish they did. I wish they could accept those things. And I'm sure you run across people who are unaccepting and fairly intolerant of what you're putting out there. But I'm going to encourage you to keep putting it out there.
Thanks.
It is making a difference. When I get an opportunity to read something you've written, first of all, you write well. It flows really good in the ears. Because I hear what people read.
Right.
No, I hear what people write.
Yeah.
I don't read what people write. I hear it. Mm-hmm. I hear your voice. I hear. Mm-hmm. And it's very enjoyable to read. So I don't know who your blog writing teacher was, but whoever they were, they did a good job. All right, Frank is just dying to ask something.
And I can verify that's the truth. Because anytime he reads me on Facebook, he says, I now hear your voice.
You hear the voice
behind
it.
That's what I try to do. Mm-hmm. So thank you very much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. Appreciate it. If there's anything the show can do for you, come back. Bring Sarah and Stacy.
Oh, that'd be a riot.
Let's get the three of us in here sometime.
You're just bound to determine that this Straight from the Heartland podcast is going to go webcast, aren't you?
Well,
you're going to make it personally happen.
The future is webcasting.
I totally think you're right. I think I can sit at your feet.
You talk about vulnerability and being transparent. There's no better way to do it than with a camera and a microphone in front of you. So.
Oh, boy. So that means we can't just come in our yoga pants? Because that's usually how we record.
You can come in your yoga pants.
Okay.
Absolutely. All right. ChristineMeggison.com. Thanks for checking her out and see what her heart says. I think you'll fall in love with her heart. All right, until we meet again, remember tonight, forgive that person you've been unable to forgive because God's watching. And how you forgive, that's how you'll be forgiven.